Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another week, another live broadcast soon to be podcast. Good morning, Kim from Florida. Michael from Wawa. Good morning to you guys. Nice to have you on. Nativity, good morning to you. And Rosa, we love you guys. Thanks so much for coming on. Got a good little teaching here this morning. Andrea from Niagara Falls. Bruno, good morning. Jerry, our friend from Nouveau-Brunswick. And Andrea, Crystal, Beth. Nice to have you guys on with us. Micheline, bonjour. Good morning to you. Nice to have guys. Susan, good morning. And Zian, bonjour. Donna from Belle Valley. You guys are great. Thank you, Connie. Good morning to you. And Mark, how are you? Chantal, nice to have you on with us this morning. Okay, a couple of more. Lorraine, Thunder Bay. Good to have you on. Nellie, we appreciate it. Denise from Alberta. Helena. Okay, I want to read you a couple of headlines. Jeanette, good morning to you. Teresa from Winnipeg. Laura. Okay. And another Laura, but from New Liskeard. Okay, so I'm going to come on here and talk to you. I'll say hello afterwards. Good morning, Joy. And Sonia and Tammy. Okay, I better get going. I'll never get going. Okay, so here is the headline. Let me read it to you. Teen girls diet is worrying doctors. Teen girls diet is worrying doctors. They're looking at long-term issues. And this is the article that I read on Friday or Saturday. I can't remember. And I flagged it. We got a big problem in the world. We really do. Not the virus. We got a big problem in the thinking, especially amongst young people in the world today. And so often I've mentioned this to you, but now even doctors who are not the greatest on nutrition, but they know enough to be concerned, especially amongst young people and especially amongst young girls, because they're seeing some patterns that are very disturbing. Now, Tony Jr. and I have talked about this a fair amount, even amongst ourselves, that there's a real indoctrination taking place, especially in schools, indoctrination. And one of the biggest things is animals are up here and human beings are here. They're higher on the food chain than we are. And, you know, who doesn't love their pet? But that's not the point. You have no idea how many times in my latter years of practice where I would have a teenager, young woman, and they would tell me, Doc, I don't eat anything with eyeballs. I love animals so much. I love my dog so much, or my cat so much. I can't stand the thought of eating anything from the animal kingdom. And there's an indoctrination, okay? You see it even with the climate. I don't want to get into all the, carbon and the what's happening, getting rid of fossil fuels and all this and that. I don't want to get into a political discussion, but it has a major effect on the way people eat, because they look at a cow and they say, well, you know what, that's for the climate. And so there's this indoctrination that takes place. And doctors are finally screaming blue murder. Because they realize, look, it's the first day of medical school. You ought to be able to figure this out. You ought to be able to figure this out. Look, you can have vegetables. Vegetables are good for you. Now we're going to go through this week. I'm going to teach you vegetables can be overrated. We're going to talk about oxalates, but that's for another day. Today, I just want to look. If you are a vegetarian or a vegan, you're not going to drop dead today. But long term, it's not good for you. I just don't know how many times I can say it. And, when you read a headline where finally doctors are pushing back and saying, look, especially to young ladies, look, long term, this is not good for you. Now, they're thinking of things like osteoporosis, but I want to tell you something. One of the things that I saw the most often in the office was anemia. Borderline anemia for a lot of people. And, they weren't, again, the tests were coming back and their iron levels were, within normal limits, and their B12. Well, look, when you got B12 around 200 or 300, that's enough for a mouse. That's not enough for a human being. And women, you need that. And I was screaming, hey, look at, that's not good for you. You don't want, because if you have, okay, the other day we talked about hemochromatosis. You remember that? We talked about too much iron. How do you get too much iron? And this was, this is happening today. You can get too much iron. Why is that? Because the liver gets gummed up. How do you get a gummed up liver? You get a gummed up liver when you eat too much sugar, and sugar is stored as fat in the liver. Not good for you. And this is why, and what's funny, because after I mentioned hemochromatosis, too much iron in the blood, it was interesting because as I scrolled down to say hi to the folks that were on the program live with us, and I was just saying hi, there was at least a dozen different people saying, you know what? Someone in my family has that. My sister has that. My brother has that. My family has that. Too much iron. But too much iron is too much sugar. It's the liver. It's getting gummed up. But on the other end of the spectrum is you have anemia. And a lot of people, especially young people today, they are suffering from anemia. They have low, and you know what, guys? When you have anemia, you do not have enough oxygen. You don't have enough red blood cells. Or the red blood cells are not carrying enough oxygen. And guys, that is so super dangerous for your brain and everything else. And there's on one side, but that's because there's too much sugar. And then there's the other side, and that's because people today have bought in the indoctrination, have bought in the lie that, oh, you know what, you can't have red meat. It's not good for you. It's not good for the planet, and it's not good for you. And it's acidic. You wouldn't believe the nonsense out there on the internet on this stuff. It's nonsense. And you can't, let me say it, you can't live without eggs, meat, and cheese. And you especially can't live properly or healthy without red meat. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Have I become your enemy, Galatians 4:16, because I told you the truth? Some people don't like me because I tell them the truth. I can't help it. I got the can't help it. It bugs me because I see this trend. It's a terrible trend of people getting away because they believe, oh, the vegetables, they're the highest thing on the food chain because they're the best for me. Because they got fiber. Ooh, I can't handle that. I can't handle it. It's not true. And you know me, fiber's overrated. Okay? So let me, long-term brain issues, long-term, and this is with the anemia. So I'm going to bring you two parts this morning. The red meat part that you need, and I'm going to emphasize this, because there are just some things that you do not get in your diet unless you are eating from the animal kingdom. You just don't get it. It's not there. It's not in the plant kingdom. So just understand that. And you guys are already thinking with me. So you would say, first thing off, B12. Yep, B12. People don't realize the importance of B12. It's funny that in the 1950s, especially, because I remember as a little kid, like my dad was B12, 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 B12. Even our family doctor, who would actually come to the house, I remember that. The family doctor had B12 shots in his little doctor's bag. They wouldn't hesitate to give you vitamin B12 in a shot. Why is that? They knew it was good for you. Today, you'd almost have to bring a doctor to the dentist to have their teeth drilled without anesthetic for them to even think about B12. They just don't think about it. What? B12? Because they what's happened, and I've said this to you many, many, many a time, is medicine has been hijacked. Generally. Not all, but generally. Medicine has been hijacked by, one, the pharmaceutical companies. They dictate. Do you think there's any money in B12? There's no money in that. They don't have a patent on that. So they don't emphasize it. And in the medical schools today, they don't emphasize vitamin B12. You can't live properly without B12. Your brain doesn't work without B12. Your nervous system doesn't work without B12. Your immune system doesn't work properly without B12. You need vitamin B12 and you're supposed to eat it. And you get all these young girls. They're low in, and young guys too, I guess. But, especially young women, they happen to have menses, They lose blood on a monthly basis. And even that, I could talk, maybe we'll talk about that too. How that's being messed up today. But they don't get vitamin B12. And vitamin B12 is so important. You guys talk about, people are always asking me, Doc, what about B vitamins? Well, eat them. If you eat eggs, meat, and cheese, you get every B vitamin you need, including B12. A lot of people are deficient because they got digestive issues. Or they don't absorb, or they have they're missing the intrinsic factor, so they're not even absorbing B12 properly. And this is why I put over the years thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people on B12. Your nitric oxide, which relaxes your blood vessels, will not be as high as it should be without B12. Can I mention another one? Vitamin A. Not carrots. The real vitamin A. Carrots are good. They have beta-carotene. That is a precursor to vitamin A, but it's not vitamin A. It's not vitamin A. Vitamin A is found in eggs, meat, and cheese. Pro-retinol A. Remember the invisible mask that I want you to wear? It's invisible. It's better than any other mask that you would ever wear. You better have your invisible mask on. That because you touch your eye, you can have a mask on and you touch your eye, and guess what? The virus can come in through your eyes. It can, you're doing this or whatever, and you know what? Guys, in day one of medical school, day one, they would teach you a mask for a kid. Nah, they touch their face too much. You cannot. Oh. Clint Eastwood. I mean it, guys. Anyway, wear your invisible mask. You need vitamin A. You need B12. You need vitamin A. I feel sorry for kids who have been indoctrinated. To this nonsense. It's not science, guys. It is a religion of being a vegan or a vegetarian and eating no meat or very little of it. I can't get over it. In the last couple of years, can I be honest with you? I'm astounded at some of the things that happen in our society. I guess I'm too old. I never would have thought in my lifetime that we would ever see reactions that we're seeing and indoctrinations that we're seeing. And they're getting away with it. I feel like John the Baptist screaming in the wilderness, "Hello, that's stupid. What do you stop eating eggs, meat, and cheese for? That's stupid." Guys, I will not be silenced. I will not be silenced. I will scream it from the rooftops. The insanity. That's acidic. Dairy is acidic. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. This is alkaline. Vegetables are alkaline and meats are acidic. Where did you learn that? That's not true. Your body has the best buffering system in the universe. The human body has a buffering system. When you eat even a tomato, and everybody agrees tomatoes are good, but tomatoes are acidic. True or false? True. They're more acidic than a steak. True or false? True. Yeah, but when you eat a tomato and it gets into your gut, it becomes alkaline. Why? Because you have a buffering system. You have a buffering system in your body. You make baking soda, sodium bicarbonate. And, we get away from it because a guru gets on there and, this causes cancer and blah, blah, blah. I hear it every day. I go, what? You know what cancer hates? Steak. Yeah, it hates it because it can't feed on it. It only feeds on crappy sugars and crappy carbs. And you get these young people being indoctrinated. Must be true. No, it's not true. It was never true. Ooh. Do I need to talk to you about vitamin K2? Vitamin K2, the Rodney Dangerfield of vitamins, gets no respect. All people think of, generally, when they think of vitamin K, is they think of salad. Oh, I got vitamin K salad. Yeah, you do. You do. In spinach, yeah, you got vitamin K1, and that's all right. But it ain't K2. K2 and K1 don't convert to K2. If someone tells you, just eat all the vegetables you want and you're going to get vitamin K2, that ain't true. Vitamin K2 is found in the animal kingdom only. It's found in butter, especially, and in cheese. It's also found in meat, especially red meat, but it's a higher source in cheese, especially cheese curds and butter. Well, holy moly. And you know what vitamin K2 does? Vitamin K2 takes calcium out of your bloodstream and puts it into the bones where it belongs. Because calcium you don't want calcium staying in your bloodstream, so don't take a calcium supplement. Please, don't do that. Eat cheese. Eat butter. You're going to get calcium in your cheese. But you see what God did? God put vitamin K2 in when you're eating calcium so that your calcium won't stay in your bloodstream to harden your arteries, but will head to your bones where they belong. Why do you think these doctors are so concerned about young people? Because they're thinking bones down the road. They're thinking osteoporosis and osteopenia. But remember, your bones are another organ. If you don't think you need to have calcium, you do, but you don't want it in your bloodstream staying there. You want it to get into your bones and your tissue. And in nature, when you eat the right foods, it's exactly what you're doing. Why do you think because there's so many people, when they read or hear about me, they go, what? Cheese? Isn't cheese bad for you? It's the dairy kingdom. It's no good for you. I feel sorry for dairy farmers. They've been lied about. You need dairy. I just don't want you to drink. I don't want you to drink store-bought milk, white Pepsi. You know me. You got a cow in the backyard, drink milk. Otherwise, don't touch it. Have cream instead. And I don't even want you drinking a lot of cream. I want you to eat cheese. But you can make kids. You want to give kids something delicious and good for them, good for their brains, good for their bones, full of vitamin K2. Make them a Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie with 4 ounces of 35% cream, heavy cream, and blend it. Put a few berries in there if you want. And the kids think they've gone to McDonald's to have a milkshake. But it's full of nutrition, full of the vitamins. I'm talking about vitamin A and vitamin K2. K2. Yeah. CoQ10. CoQ10. These kids are missing CoQ10. Now your body makes CoQ10 when you eat meat. That's why Inuit, formerly Eskimos, they don't get heart disease. They eat nothing but meat and blubber. And they get a lot of CoQ10. You hear about CoQ10. You see the commercials on TV. Because when they lower your LDL, why do you want to lower your cholesterol for? But when they do, okay, because medicine is into cholesterol. And by the way, the second point that I didn't tell you about, where medicine has been hijacked by the pharmaceutical companies, but medicine also has been hijacked by the labs. Doctors, not all doctors, okay? But a lot of doctors, oh, look, your B12 is within, they don't even flag it. It's 230 or whatever. I said, well, a mouse won't survive on B12 with numbers like that. I like 800 to 1200 B12. You want to optimize your B12 levels. A lot of people, they're walking around, they don't have enough B12. And it's the same as vitamin D. When you can get a doctor to take your dehydroxy levels, vitamin D levels in your blood, they're normal. But they're not doing you no good because they need to be optimized. But they rely on the lab, and if nothing is flagged, do you know how many people are walking around today? They have a very sluggish thyroid. They got all the symptoms. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. They got all the symptoms. Their hair's falling out. They're gaining weight. They're lethargic. They don't feel good, blah, blah, blah. They got all the symptoms, but nope. Can't be true because your blood work is normal. You know how many millions of women, especially in North America, are walking around with a thyroid issue and nobody's told them. Nobody has talked to them about it. When I see their blood work and I want to know symptoms. I'm not saying don't do blood work. I'm telling you that You need both. You need the symptoms and then you need the blood work, and you look at both. And I always told my staff that work with me, okay? I know we got blood work, but their symptoms are more important than the laboratory. I'm going to tell you that 1,000,000 times. Because if it's walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. Oh, I'm gaining weight. I can't lose weight. Yeah, well, it's hormones. Oh, my doctor said, I don't care. I don't care. They're so poorly trained in functional medicine. Like I said, there was a great hijacking that took place of medicine. The labs and Big Pharma. Now, God bless them both. We need Big Pharma and we need labs. We do. I'm not saying never take a medication. You know that if you followed me at all. Vitamin K2, we need that. We need vitamin A. We need B12. It's found in the animal kingdom. I could talk to you about amino acids. L-arginine. Right? L-carnitine. They're not found in plants. Your body needs them. L-arginine, you know what it does? It opens up your blood vessels. It helps with nitric oxide. Screaming from the rooftops. Doctors are finally getting concerned. I'm going to bring you to part 2 of this because I want to talk to you about another really important thing that young women, a lot of people are missing, but mostly young women are very concerned about it, and young men know. Let's do that tomorrow. I got a good week coming up for you, okay? I got my workout. I got my workout. No, I appreciate it. Okay, so have you got your book yet? The Reset? See? I got little notes there. Thank you for making that such an enormous success. We appreciate it. Makes a great gift, guys. Good reading. We appreciate it. The Martin Clinic Facebook group, private group, again, thousands and thousands of people. Good discussion. What a community there. And we appreciate it big time. And then the question and answer. I didn't get to every question last week. I'll just review them again maybe because I might have missed a few that I would talk to you about. But send in your questions and we're going to try and answer all your questions, okay? So we love you guys and we'll talk to you very soon.